Live right here on this Thursday on the early line on SportsGrid. 10 days away from Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas between the Chiefs and the 49ers. I am Ben. Donnie is on the right side. Of course, the man in the middle is Craig Mish. An earlier appearance on this Thursday on TEL. He hosts Newswire at 11 a.m. Eastern Time each and every day, live right here on SportsGrid as well. Craig, you were here on Monday, looking back on the weekend that was, looking back on Conference Championship weekend. We got your thoughts on how the AFC and the NFC title game have played out. You've been with us here throughout this NFL season, throughout this playoff push as well. We have yet to get your true thoughts on Super Bowl 58. We do that today on this Thursday on the early line, so thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course. And I'm wondering from your guys' perspective, I was talking about this on my show on Newswire yesterday. Do you guys have a preference? Remember when they went back and they changed the Super Bowl and they had it the following Sunday after the AFC and NFC championship? I think they did that for like 2 years. I mean, I kind of wish the game was Sunday, you know? I understand that they have to have it 2 weeks out and there's this buildup, but man, I would really love it to be played this Sunday, to be honest with you.
We need the build-up.
Donnie, what do you
That's
think?
absolutely what we need here. Now, it would be nice to play it a week later. When was the last time they actually did that? Was that like the? Because I want to say with the Eagles,
it was probably 6-7 years ago. Yeah, it's probably a while ago. Yeah.
I remember about 20 years ago because the Philadelphia Eagles, when they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like the Buccaneers packed their bags and left Philadelphia after beating the Eagles and went right out to San Diego. So it's been a while for that. I don't mind the build-up, though. I think I like it a little bit there.
Okay. All right.
Oh. It's happened 7 times, in fact. The last time, January 20... No, this is incorrect. This is an article from 2016. That's why I need a stat guy, Joe Frizo, down there doing the research instead of me on the fly. Anyway, we will keep it rolling to this year's Super Bowl in Super Bowl 58. Craig, you have shared your handicapping thoughts with us throughout this NFL season. We have seen little bits of market movement since the line opened up for Super Bowl 58 to where it stands right now. The Chiefs and the 49ers with San Francisco a 1.5 favorite, the over-under 47.5. You talk about the buildup. We still have 10 days away, about a week and a half until Super Bowl Sunday in Las Vegas. Craig, when do you get in your Super Bowl bets?
Yeah, I think, look, for me, it's mostly prop stuff. You know, I do think because there are hundreds of props on this game that there are edges to be had going in. I just simply don't think, Ben, they're the same edges that we saw potentially maybe, 6-7 years ago. And the reason why I'm kind of thin now usually on these Super Bowls is since sports betting has been legalized and since DraftKings and FanDuel have had props basically every week, I just think that the odds makers and the bookmakers are just so sharp now with these props. You know, once upon a time, the only props that we really used to look at were the Super Bowl, and there were like hundreds and hundreds. Yeah. And at the Westgate, they'd come out Sunday night, and people would line up to get the very best odds in Las Vegas. It's no longer the case anymore. So, you know, I think at that time, it's not that the books allowed you to win bets. I'm not saying that. But what I used to say on my radio shows and TV shows before sports betting was legalized were the Super Bowl props were like Pringles. And you know why I would say that, obviously, because you can't bet just one, right? Nobody could walk into that sports book and say, give me, Shane Vereen over 3.5 receptions. Have a great night. No, nobody could do it. There was like this prop and that prop. And I think they knew that at that time. So they made them very enticing. I just don't think the advantages are there like they have been in the past. But make no mistake about it, the two things that we talked about earlier in the week, the first half over and the game over, I do feel like the referees have called a lighter game in the playoffs in general, outside of calling all those personal fouls against the Baltimore Ravens, which obviously were right there. I mean, they were happening right in front. What were they not supposed to do, not call those? But beyond that, no holding, no PIs. So I do think there's going to be a lot of scoring in the game. And Ben, as you alluded to earlier in the week too, I'm not usually an over guy. I usually feel like there's a lot more value on unders.
Let them play, Craig, as we like to say here. Let the players decide it on the field. Let me ask you this question, because Ben and I were going back and forth on a previous segment. If we take a look at the line right now at FanDuel, it's -1.5 as a favorite towards San Francisco, and the total at 47.5. If I had to ask you which one of those lines is going to move first, the 1.5 or the 47.5 at FanDuel, what would be your decision on that?
Yeah, I do think that probably by the time that the game kicks off, it'll be down to 1. That would be my guess, is that San Francisco will be 1-point favorite. I think the general better, the novice better, the way that the money is going to come in just in general on this books is the same way it comes in on Notre Dame. It's the same way it has come in on Alabama through the years. It's the same way it comes in through the Dallas Cowboys. There's a lot of people who are going to bet on the Super Bowl who have never bet before. There are a lot of people who are going to watch the Super Bowl that generally don't, but they know who Patrick Mahomes is, and they know who Travis Kelce is, and therefore it's just easier to root for in that space. So I do think that comes down, Donnie, to 1. But, I got to tell you, I thought that line was going to go the other way toward the Chiefs last week, and it did not. So call me crazy. Maybe I'll be wrong on this one too. Total seems really solid for where it is, 47.5. I don't see that moving all that much. Yeah.
The under a bit of juice right now as it pertains to that 47.5 number. So, Craig, you talk about props. You can't just have one, Pringles, goldfish, whatever you want to quantify it as.
Goldfish.
We look at the props that are already available, still 10 days away from a football game. If numbers are going to move, probably more so than the spread or the money line or the total in any drastic way, it will be in the prop market. So let's look early. 262.5, the passing yards prop for Patrick Mahomes. On the other side for Brock Purdy, 245 and a hook. What do you want to see out of the quarterback comparison come Super Bowl Sunday in Las Vegas?
We would love to see, I think, 2 big playmakers get involved in the offense, which could lead to that potential over. The first would be Deebo Samuel, because I think that if he's heavily involved in the game plan for the 49ers, that pushes the point total, which it did. Remember, you look at the 49ers' weapons outside of Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle was not a huge part of that game plan until the second half, and they still ended up going over that total and flying over the team total as well. So to me, having Deebo Samuel on the one side, and then on the other side is Rashee Rice. He's really the only dynamic playmaker outside of Kelce over the middle of the field. I have to believe the 49ers are going to do a better job against Kelce than the Baltimore Ravens did. I mean, I understand that Kelce's a Hall of Famer. He's going to get open, like, no matter what. He's like old Antonio Gates, basically, like wherever the guy would move it. Like Phillip Rivers would be like, he only throws to Gates. Why can they not cover Gates? It's like this. I couldn't understand it. It's like the same thing. I don't think he's going to get 12 catches or 11 catches in this game, too. So Rice and Deebo would lead me to believe that which one of those explodes on offense, more explosive plays, they go over their yardage prop market, I would guess, on next Sunday.
Let's take a look here at the, and by the way, MVP markets here. Shout out the MVP, which would be goldfish Parmesan flavor. That's the snack that you need on Super Bowl Sunday. Right. Who is your MVP in the football game and your MVP snack on Super Bowl Sunday?
It's just no fun to go with the quarterbacks. It's no fun at all. True. So, I'll probably take a shot at Deebo there. I mean, he can run, he can catch, maybe breaks off a long one. That would be a guess for me, but it's probably not the right choice. The right choice is usually the quarterback. And look, for the snacks, I'm like a traditionalist. Give me that nice big meal, chicken parm, nice Italian dinner there with some nice dessert. Pack it in early, eat throughout the game.
On Super Bowl Sunday?
We need more. We need Craig to stick around. He's got to stick around and explain yourself, Craig.
Oh, yeah. What do you explain myself? What are you going to do? You eat Mr. Good bars. Come on, Donnie. I don't have to explain myself. Please.
Tremendous.
Get out of here.
Am I supposed to take this to break after he said he eats chicken parm on Super Bowl Sunday? Absolutely. The early line next. I'm right here on this Thursday on the early line on SportsGrid. We're going to get to previews of Super Bowl 58. We'll give you some prop picks with the markets now all opened up as well. But let's not bury the lead any longer here on TEL. What seemed like an innocent question from Donnie Rightside to our Craig Mish, the host of Newswire, about his favorite Super Bowl snack. I was expecting pizza, wings, nachos, chips. Craig Mish replies with chicken parmesan and a side of pasta, a full plate. Now, as we welcome on our next guest, Joe Ranieri, we have to ask him the same question. JR, you will be in New Jersey on Super Bowl Sunday, and yet I still do not predict chicken parmesan in your future. What is Joe Ranieri's favorite Super Bowl snack to enjoy the big game?
That's easy, guys. It's bourbon. I don't mind I really don't mind the sauce. Yeah, I mean, bourbon's food too, guys. I don't mind the sauce on a Sunday, but my goodness, you want to be able to stay awake for the game. You can't be filling up on all that carbs, and you're out by halftime and you miss the game. So no, strictly liquid diet on Super Bowl Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's the way of doing it. Joe, thank you for restoring some sanity here to the early line on this Thursday. So, Joe, we have you for the next two segments, and we appreciate your time as always. I look forward to getting your thoughts. Here we are still 10 days out from Super Bowl Sunday. When to dive in, what you expect the market to look like. Have you noticed any movement that has caught your eye at this point? Where the numbers stand right now, 1.5 points in favor of the 49ers, minus 130 on the money line, plus 110 other side for Kansas City. The over-under has stayed pretty steady to this point at 47.5. So those are the numbers for Super Bowl 58. What do the numbers tell you?
Well, it would not shock me if this thing, as we get closer to kickoff, is a true pick'em, and that it hits pick'em at some particular point. I don't think we're going to get a big movement with the total one way or the other. I don't see this thing climbing up closer to 48, 48 and a half, 49, anything along those lines. I think the total, a half a point here or there is about it. I would almost say that I'm expecting it to shade a little bit towards the under. But I do think that this eventually will go off as a true pick'em here with an awful lot of money on the sidelines. I mean, the 2.5 lasted 30 seconds maybe when it first opened up, and then it kept going towards Kansas City's way. I think it will continue to do that. So I think what you see right now is pretty much what you're going to get. Not to mention, it really doesn't matter anyway. Pick the winner, play the money line, and you are good to go.
You take a look at the betting public here, Joe, right? Because, again, the Super Bowl, everybody focuses on, like, just the person that's a common gambler to the hardcore gambler and also to the sharps and whatever. But if I'm lining this football game up, is it just so simple to realize next week, once Super Bowl week gets here, late in the week, people will open up their laptops and go, okay, it's time to bet the Super Bowl, and say, oh, wait a second. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are getting points. I don't care. I'm just taking the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, but you know it's coming, and it happened pretty quickly as well. And listen, there's one thing that I know for sure is that I do not anticipate if the Niners get a whole lot of steam between now and then, it's not going to be public money. The overwhelming public is not going to be backing the 49ers in here. It's going to be the bigger money bets. It's going to be the sharper groups that are going to wait as long as they can, let the public hammer Kansas City, keep betting Kansas City, and then they will come in. I'm expecting a whole lot of movement, probably late, and that movement will come towards the Niners. The public is not going to back the 49ers in this one.
As we shared earlier, the line opened very quickly at 2.5 on Sunday night following that NFC title game, and there is 77% of the money right now in terms of the spread betting on Kansas City. 70% of the bets for that spread that is currently 1.5 also with the Chiefs. A lot of that public money has quickly moved that number down to 1.5. I'm not so sure there will be a ton of public investment to continue to move the market to Kansas City's way, but we wait and see. That's the spread, the money line. Now from a side perspective to the totals for Super Bowl Sunday, 47.5. It is the lowest over-under we have seen in a Super Bowl since Super Bowl 50. The last 8 years, every number has been at least 49.5. 6 of the previous 7 at least at 50. So, Joe, when you look at that total, remain steady, 47.5. I ask you a simple two-part question. If the game goes over, who does that benefit? If the game stays under, who does that work well for?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I'm not necessarily sold it correlates one way or the other, just simply because we're dealing with a pick'em game. And I don't foresee either of these two teams wanting some sort of shootout because neither are kind of set up to do well in those kinds of games. I think, especially, this is not the Kansas City Chiefs of old, and you've got to give them credit for what Andy Reid realized right around December when everyone was sticking a fork in the Chiefs because they looked like a shell of their former self. But something interesting happened with the Chiefs right around Christmas time when they decided that, you know what? We can't act and pretend like Tyreek Hill's here. We can't act and pretend like we can throw the ball 40 times in this game. We've got to be more balanced. We've got to be able to run much better than what we've been doing. Stop turning the ball over. And the reason they're here right now is because Andy Reid did all of those things. Listen, nobody hates running the ball more than Andy Reid. If he can go up 35-0 on you in the second quarter, he's going to do it. He's going to throw the ball. He's going to do what he can do. But this goes against everything we have seen this Kansas City Chiefs represent over the last couple of seasons, including back in 2019 when they met these 49ers. Instead, they've become much more dink and dunk and hold on to the ball for 32 minutes in a game, run twice as many plays, and they'll beat you 24-17 all day long, no problem.
You take a look at that total, too, and how it factors into it. Two of the best play callers in the NFL get 2 weeks to script plays getting ready for this game. We're not worried about rain. We're not worried about wind, cold conditions. It's in a dome. And the one MO we've seen out of the Kansas City Chiefs here, Joe, is, hey, we'll get some points in the first half. But number one, we won't score in the next second half. And we also don't let you score in the second half. So if you're trying to, from a bettor's perspective here, do you look at the total and say, you know what, I might have an advantage in either one of these halves?
Yeah, well, if history serves us here, recent history with the Chiefs, you want to back them early, don't you? As a matter of fact, we talked about it here last week on the show, and I said, listen, expect the points in the first half from Kansas City and Baltimore, and then expect no points in the second half because of what the Kansas City Chiefs defense has been able to accomplish, averaging and giving up, only 7 points in the second half all season long. They did it again against Baltimore, a team that was supposed to run all over them and didn't end up doing it. So I think early with those two guys, Shanahan and Andy Reid, I would say yes. I think points are coming early again. I think adjustments will be made, and then it's going to be which team can hold on. I don't anticipate the Chiefs defense doing what Detroit did in the second half against them, where they just could not stop them, and the momentum could never get back towards Detroit. Don't see that happening in this one.
20 games played for KC this year. 18 of the second half totals have stayed under. 19 of the fourth quarter totals have stayed under. KC, the best scoring defense throughout the NFL in the second half this season, only just a tick above 7 points per game. Total touchdowns scored in Super Bowl 58. The number right now, 4.5. The under has the juice at -140. That would make sense. 4 times 7, 28 points as you add up some field goals as well. So, Joe, when you look at these specific props that are only available for Super Bowl Sundays for the most part, where do you start your handicaps?
So I think you have to first figure out how each team is going to win. What's the best plan for each team to go about doing it? And then, like I just said, I think the Chiefs is rather simple. And I think they have shown what their game plan is going to be. And that is going to be hold on to the ball, dink and dunk, move the chains, and hold on to it. I mean, 40 drives, 7 or more plays a drive. It doesn't matter the points. It just matters a matter of them being able to stay out on the field longer than the other offense. And how do they do that? Well, they run the ball, guys. And I'm sure we'll eventually get to it, but that's why Pacheco's got to be in a lot of your props and a lot of what you're looking at if you like Kansas City. because they are not going to go 3 and out. That is not what they are going to do. Mahomes is very dangerous when pressured. He knows that. Don't turn the ball over. They have not, if you've noticed over the last month here. They are all about sustaining drives, time of possession, and converting in the red zone when they have to. And if they continue to do that, they'll be more than happy to score 24 points in this game and not give you enough time to get to that number. That's the recipe for success for Kansas City. And if you are Shanahan, you want the opposite. You want the ball as much as you possibly can. You want to also keep Mahomes on the sideline. The question is, which team is built to do that the best? That's your winner.
The Chiefs, the Chiefs have allowed 20 points or less in 9 of their last 10 games. We'll get to the individual prop perspective that will shape the outcome of Super Bowl Sunday next, live right here on the Early Line.